up everybody, Joe here from Mainline Overland. So the time has finally come and we're going to be upgrading our Bronco here to a new MLO shop vehicle. So we've been wheeling this truck for a little over 4 years now. We put around 50,000 miles on it and it's finally time for an upgrade. I can't tell you what exactly we're going to be upgrading to just yet, so you have to stay tuned for our future videos to find out there. But yeah, a little bit about this truck. We've put around 50,000 miles on it. Ran it up to Vermont, New Hampshire many a times, hitting some of the toughest trails up there. And I personally have a lot of seat time in this truck over the last few years and definitely have some opinions for you guys. So we wanted to hop on here and give our final thoughts before we send this off and upgrade to the new vehicle. So let's kick it. So I'm going to start off by going through all of the upgrades we've made to this truck over the years. Starting off up front here, one of the first things we did to this truck was install the ARB bumper up here. We knew right off the bat we wanted to get some extra protection up front and also provide a nice place to mount a winch in here. And the ARB was definitely our number one choice. They're really one of the only bumper brands out there that actually does crash testing. So these things are certified, and they also engineer to include all of that factory tech into this bumper. So up here we have integration for the parking sensor, the radar cruise control, as well as the front camera. Which is all really nice to have. With all these modern vehicles, there's adding more and more technology features. So it's really important to find a bumper that can integrate all of that. I will say the radar cruise, I was a little skeptical at first, but when we're driving up to Vermont, New Hampshire, it really helped kind of ease fatigue on the highway. You kind of set this thing on cruise and all you really have to do is just steer, keep it on the road. So this was a feature I didn't really like at first, but over the years kind of got used to, and I really like the radar cruise feature on here. This bumper also has integrated recovery points in the front, spots for upgraded fog lights, and the turn signals are also integrated in there. But yeah, if you're looking to get a Bronco, I would say getting an ARB bumper would definitely be my number one upgrade. Out of everything we've done to this truck, this is definitely my favorite upgrade we've done. It really just transformed the look, gave us some extra protection off-road, and just having that peace of mind that if an animal comes out or if you make a bump with a tree or a rock, this thing really is going to protect the truck. I think we have a clip of it, but I'm going down this really tight trail and I'm like slipping off of a rock and the truck slides and the bumper actually bounces off of a rock over on that corner there. We kind of touched it up at this point, but without this bumper on there, it would have done a lot more damage to the front end of this truck. So definitely paid for itself many times over. So taking a look at the wheel and tire as well as suspension setup, when we first got this truck, we knew we wanted to get 37s on here. This truck did come with the Sasquatch package, so it did have 35s and a little suspension lift to start, but to fit the 37s, we needed a little bit more lift. So we used Zone Off-Road Spacer Kit as well as their new upper control arms. So we're using that factory shock, just put a spacer on there. We're running the BFG KM3s, 37 by 12.5, and then wheels are the Evo Course Dakar Zero. These are running a zero offset. So with this wheel and tire package in this lift, we actually experienced really minimal to no rubbing out off-road. If you were fully flexed out in reverse, you get a little bit of rubbing, but I'd say 99% of the time these tires cleared no problem. And then another one of my favorite upgrades we did to this truck is we upgraded to Power Brake's big brake kit. With this thing all kitted out with bumpers, skid plates, we got the goose gear set up in the back, and we usually had a few people in here, whether it be our film crew or other folks. So we really wanted to upgrade that stopping power from this factory truck. So that big brake kit from Power Brakes really makes a huge difference. It's something you really get used to, and I recently drove a stock Bronco and got honestly a little frightened by how bad the brakes were. But so super impressed by these. I would say the Power Brakes are a really great upgrade. No matter what truck you have, I would definitely look at doing a Power Brake setup. So moving down the side of the truck, another one of my favorite upgrades and probably our lowest cost per use upgrade are definitely these rock hard sliders. I would say on any Overland build, if you're trying to run a little bit tougher trails, the number one thing you should do is upgrade to a set of rock sliders. And what these really do is protect your door and sills here from any damage. A lot of those trails out there have those big rocks, have those big washouts, and it's super common to get pretty close up to this door sill here. And if you get up in there and bend a door or that sill, those are some very expensive repairs. And throwing on a set of rock sliders is really going to protect your investment here. So I'd say this is probably our lowest cost per use item, and definitely must have upgrade for any off-road truck. So we set up the rear of this truck with the Goose Gear tailgate table, which is a really nice fold-away table that has a built-in bamboo cutting board that pulls out. But this is a great little add-on for making lunch on the trail. You can throw a stove up there, use this as your cocktail bar. Really a nice all-purpose use. Then you just flip it up and it stows away. And I will say this thing is totally rattle-free, which I'm impressed with. I've been in plenty of trucks that have cheaper tailgate tables, and they just drive me totally nuts, rattling around in the back. And then in the actual trunk here, we upgraded to the Goose Gear base plate system, which provides us a secure way to mount this fridge module. So we got the nice fridge slide, pull out. This fits perfectly the Dometic 45, and I think this is plenty of fridge for long weekends with 2 or 3 people. There's plenty of space in there. And then this bottom also has this cool slide out where you can also put a stove here. I typically use the tailgate table for the stove, but it's nice to have this kind of fully built into everything. And slide that away. So yeah, this is a really nice setup. The Goose Gear stuff is made really well. It's pretty lightweight, but it's nice to have a totally engineered rear setup. Makes staying organized is really huge. So while we're back here, wanted to show off the ARB rear bumper. Just like the front, we have accommodations for rear parking sensors, recovery points, and we also have the high lift jack point back here that makes changing tires on the trail really easy. But this is a really nice upgrade. They really did a good job tailoring this to get better departure angles. The way this is all angled is really nice. And ARB did a great job kind of tying this all into that factory look. So it looks kind of OEM plus, which I really like. So for lighting upgrades, first off the bat, we installed the Baja Designs fog lights here in the ARB bumper. They have a nice specific fit kit, so these fit really nice into the bezel here in the ARB bumper. But we went with amber. We actually went with amber for all these lights. And then up for ditch lights, we did the round Squadron Sports. I decided that we should do the round ones, just change it up a little bit from the typical square ones you normally see. And then up top, we have a 40-inch S8 light bar, also from Baja Designs, also in amber. But these combo of lights are kind of the perfect trio. Those front lights give you nice kind of down low lighting. Ditch lights kind of shoot off into the woods. And then the light bar up there gives you really nice distance and a nice spread of light. So plenty of light on this truck, and I never felt like we needed to add more light. So this is a really great 3-stage setup. So last thing I want to talk about is the Prinsu roof rack that we installed. So this was kind of a later addition to the truck. We probably did this, I want to say probably 2 years into this build. But we put this up there because we were trying to show off some rooftop tents down at Overland Expo. We did a bunch of research. Seemed like the Prinsu was the best one out there. Nice low profile, ton of attachment points. But I do have to say, this is probably my least favorite upgrade we did to the truck. I personally don't love how it looks up there. And my biggest complaint is just the amount of wind noise that is created by this rack. If you read online, you'll probably see a lot of complaints about the wind noise with these hard tops. Just seems like they didn't figure out the best way to seal them. So even before the rack, there was a bunch of wind noise on the highway. And then when we added this rack, it just kind of added and amplified that wind noise. And when you're on the highway for 8-9 hours, it can be definitely maddening. So if we were to do this all over again, I'd probably option not to do a roof rack and not run a rooftop tent. Rooftop tents are great, but when you're running those tougher trails and those off-camber situations, having an extra 150, 200 pounds up on the roof does nothing good for your center of gravity, and just kind of makes it a little more nerve-wracking running those tougher trails. Yeah, so now that we're behind the wheel of the Bronco, I wanted to give you my final thoughts, things I really liked about the truck, things I didn't like so much. So I'm gonna start off with things I really liked. I've been really impressed with kind of the duality of this truck. The fact that you can drive this thing on the highway, 75, 80 miles an hour, all the way up to New England. And once you hit those trails, get aired down, this thing is insanely capable off-road. So yeah, I'm really impressed by the on-road handling of it. Being an independent front suspension truck, it handles the bumps and everything really well. I really like the steering feel, throttle response, all of that drivability I think Ford did a great job with. And then when you do get to the off-road trails, this thing is insanely capable. Being the Sasquatch package, we have things like the sway bar disconnect, front and rear lockers, and the trail turn assist. I will say the trail turn assist I think is a little gimmicky. Ford really put a lot of marketing effort into talking about it. But I found it didn't really work that well, but I've also found that it really just tears up the trails because you're basically locking up that rear tire and you're dragging it over the road. Every time I've used it, it's really kind of torn up and created ruts in the road. But more on off-road capability, we've run this with a lot of different rigs out there, but I've been super impressed by how it's been able to keep up with Jeeps on 37s, 40s that are fully built out, long arm kits, what have you. But the fact that you can drive this up, do 8-9 hours on the highway, not really be that fatigued, and go jump right into a trail is super impressive. That it's doing both of those really well. I'd say with most vehicles, you're going to be compromising. Either you're going to have good on-road feel and not be great off-road, or be really good off-road but be terrible to drive. But I think the Bronco has split both of those really well. So if you need a truck that can do it all, I think this is a great choice for you. A few other things I like about this truck, I will say all of the tech and all the technology in it is really great. Having this giant CarPlay screen in here, being the first edition, we have heated seats, kind of all the amenities. So it's really cool to have all those luxury features and all those tech features in a purpose-built off-road truck. Kind of makes it a lot easier to live with. Having the leather-wrapped steering wheel, leather-wrapped shifter, kind of all those touch points are nicer materials, giving you just like a better interior experience. So those are kind of my favorite things about this truck. Now on to things I don't like. One of my least favorite things is definitely the hardtop in this truck. Like right now when we're filming this video, I'm talking a lot louder than I normally would, just because that thing makes so much noise up there that it's not bad because we're only going around 50 miles an hour right now. But if you get this thing on the highway going 75, 80, it is honestly really hard to have a conversation. You have to turn the music basically all the way up to even hear anything, and totally forget about listening to a podcast because the combination of not being a great stereo combined with the noise of the hardtop, you basically cancels out any kind of podcaster's voice, which is kind of sucks because I love listening to podcasts on those kind of long drives. So another complaint I have about this platform is actually the drivetrain combo. So this truck has the bigger 2.7 twin turbo V6 paired to a 10-speed automatic transmission. While this thing does make good power, there is kind of some sketchy reliability of this motor. A lot of owners have reported kind of total failure of the motor, and that just doesn't give me a ton of confidence. But I'd say my biggest complaint is with the 10-speed transmission here. With all those different gears, it seems like this truck never knows what gear to be in. It's always hunting around, and then, which I don't love, it just becomes annoying after a while. But more concerning is, I'd say about 5,000 or 10,000 miles ago, we started to experience some like rougher shifting, where we kind of bang shift, kind of make a little bit of noise, which is definitely concerning because we only have 48,000 miles on this truck. So I would not like to see kind of transmission issues starting to poke their head this early into the life. I will say this thing has definitely lived a hard life, bombing up to Vermont, New Hampshire, doing a bunch of wheeling, bombing back, but we're still under 50,000 miles. Like, we should not be having these issues. So kind of this 10-speed paired with this motor's kind of questionable reliability doesn't give me a bunch of confidence that this truck's going to last for 100, 200,000 miles. I don't think this is a truck that you're going to buy and keep forever. I think there is some, I don't want to say planned obsolescence, but there are some issues in this truck that may prevent you from keeping it forever. One other note I wanted to make is that when you're on the highway on this thing, doing 75, 80 miles an hour, I've noticed that the turbos are like always in boost. They're always pushing 3 to 4 pounds of boost. And when you're on the highway for 7, 8 hours at a time, it's just not good for turbos to be spooling up that often. So I think that is definitely an area of concern. Like, if you're always in boost for hours and hours at a time, the turbos just aren't made to function like that. They need kind of cool down period. So that kind of makes me a little nervous as well. Yeah, so that's a wrap kind of on my opinions on this truck, things I liked, things I didn't like. I have done hours and hours and hours behind the wheel of this truck, and I'd say overall I'm super impressed. I think this is a great overland platform. Like I said, the duality of it is really the big appeal to me. And it looks great. It has a great kind of community out there. But personally, I don't really feel any emotional connection to this truck. Even after all the time I've spent in it, it's very utilitarian. I feel like it doesn't have a soul. coming from Land Rovers and wheeling a lot of older trucks, I just don't feel that personal connection with this truck. So I can't say I'm really sad to see it go. I'm really excited for what we're going to be getting next. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, keep an eye out. You'll see this thing running around the road somewhere here on the East Coast, and hopefully the next owner takes good care of it, but does take it off road and really use it what we built it for. So thanks again for watching. If you like this video, be sure to click that thumbs up and be sure to turn on the notification for our future videos where we're going to be revealing the next shop vehicle here at MLO. So stay tuned. We're excited to see you on the next one.